Source students, and tonight we are going to be making supper for the family. We're making a cheese-stuffed meatloaf. It's a lot easier than it sounds. Hang on, I'll get set up. Okay, I'm starting out with about a pound of hamburger meat. Now, a pound of hamburger meat makes a nice big meatloaf. It depends on your family and how big they are. If you've got an exceptionally large family, you might want to go with 2 meatloaves, and then you can just double things. To this, I'm adding 1 large egg. I am adding about 1/3 of a cup of milk, and I'm just using 2%. And then to that, I'm going to add 3/4 of a cup of breadcrumbs. I get the Italian style ones because I like the extra flavor that adds. I am going to add about a teaspoon of garlic powder and then about a teaspoon of my seasoning salt. Okay, so if you don't like to handle raw meat, you're going to want to make sure that you have a pair of gloves on hand. I've washed my hands and cleaned them real well, so I am going to go ahead and reach in with my hand. Okay, it doesn't take much to get it combined, but there it is. And then the next part, I pulled over a cutting board. If you have a plastic sheet that you roll out pie dough or something on, you can use that. But put your meat out on, turn it out onto the cutting board, and you're going to flatten it out into a rectangle that is approximately the same length as your loaf pan. So about the same length. Make it nice and about, I'd say, 1/2 inch thick. And then onto that, I'm just going to layer right down the center. I'm going to layer some cheese. Now, this is where you can kind of get creative if you'd like. I'm using smoked provolone. You can use mozzarella or Italian cheeses. You can use sharp cheddar. Whatever, Kojak works really well also. Whatever you and your family like, that's what you go ahead and put in the middle there. It can be shredded cheese, it can be sliced cheese, whatever you got on hand, okay? And then I'm gonna take this, starting at the far side, and I'm gonna start rolling it over. Kind of scraping it up off my board as I go. And don't worry if it doesn't, you can kind of smush it together. If it's pulling apart, that's okay. Now the next part, you're going to take it, put it into your loaf pan, lift it up, and I'm going to set it into the loaf pan. Ta-da! That's all it is. Then that is going to go into the oven at 350 degrees for about an hour. All right, my meatloaf has been in the oven for an hour. I just took it out. You can see the cheese kind of bubbling through it. I'm going to let it sit for about 10 minutes so that it can redistribute and set up so it's not just slop all over the place when I cut into it. Good thing to serve with this is loaded mashed potatoes, which are just make your mashed potatoes, and when you mash them, you put in butter, sour cream, cheese, some bacon bits. You can put in chives, whatever your family likes, but they're really, really good with that. So enjoy your cheese stuffed meatloaf.